Good morning, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News. Today is Saturday, the 7th day of June, 2025, and Iran is front and center today in the headlines with three important stories. So let's get right to them. First of all, Iran orders thousands of tons of ballistic missile ingredients from China. This is from the Wall Street Journal. The IAEA, that's the Atomic Energy Association nuclear chief, Rafael Grossi says, Iran is my biggest concern. No kidding. That's from the Jerusalem Post. And Khamenei disses the U.S. nuke offer. And so here's the question. Will Israel or Iran strike first? This is from the Jewish News Syndicate. Now, later this morning, what we're going to do is do a story we've been waiting to do, but because of the work going on here at the house, I couldn't get to it. The Dead Sea Scrolls are much older than previously thought. AI-based study finds. So we're going to talk about the implications of that. We'll do that a few hours from now. Then we'll have another breaking news story later. So we'll be doing three today, at least two tomorrow, possibly three to catch up on the stories we haven't been able to do with you the last couple of days. But we're back in the saddle again. We're all set here and looking forward to bringing you the latest because some huge things are going on. So let's look at the headlines. First of all, Iran orders thousands of tons of ballistic missile ingredients from China. It's from the Wall Street Journal. Sources estimate that if delivered, the materials could produce around 800 missiles. Iran has ordered thousands of tons of ballistic missile ingredients from China as part of an effort to rebuild its military capabilities while navigating ongoing nuclear talks with the United States, according to a Wall Street Journal report on Thursday, citing sources familiar with the transactions. The shipments, which are expected to reach Iran in the coming months, include ammonium perchlorate, a key component in the solid propellant used for ballistic missiles. Sources indicate that these materials could potentially fuel hundreds of missiles. Now, that, of course, this is what was destroyed recently. Remember when the container ship area in Iran, they had like $5 billion worth of damage with the accident that was there. Well, this basically this key component was destroyed at that time. In fact, the accident just happened right where all these components were kept. So that's where they're going to replace them now from China. Okay, some of the ammonium perchlorate, I guess that's how you pronounce, is expected to be sent to the militias aligned with Iran, including the Houthis in Yemen, one of the sources revealed. This move aligns with Iran's broader strategy to strengthen its regional influence and rebuild its missile arsenal, while continuing to negotiate with the Trump administration over the future of its nuclear program. Okay. It is getting absurd. The U.S. continues to let Iran stall for time, even as the Ayatollah says enrichment of uranium is off the table. Somebody had better do something soon. Now, we're told the U.S. is still waiting for Iran's response to the latest initiative proposal that Witkoff said. And we know first and foremost, the Ayatollahs we're going to have on our third story said, no, that's not going to happen. We'll never stop enriching uranium. That's our right. So what's the U.S. going to do? And they're just dilly-dallying. And what's interesting, we haven't had one story about a question that was asked Trump or his administration. Well, what are you going to do now that the Ayatollah says it's off the table? We're not going to stop enriching uranium. Are you going to go forward with an attack? Anyway, we will wait and see. Now, headline number two accentuates the need there. Nuclear chief Rafael Grossi, Iran is my biggest concern. This is from the Jerusalem Post, and he is again the Director General of the IAEA. Grossi claimed that Israel's threats against the Islamic Republic imply that the Iranian thing has incredible potential to become catastrophic. Well, that's the understatement of the decade. International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi said that Iran is his quote biggest preoccupation when discussing nuclear-powered countries in an interview with the Financial Times published yesterday, Friday. Grossi told the Times that this is a new confidential IAEA report, and it said that the Islamic Republic has dramatically increased its uranium stockpile enrichment close to weapons grade. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon at this moment, but it has the material, he told the Times. He also claimed that Israel's threats against the Islamic Republic imply that the Iranian thing has incredible potential to become catastrophic. If there is a failure in negotiation, this will imply most probably military action. Well, we've just had the failure in negotiation when Khamenei said it's off the table. It's amazing how no one's getting to the root of this issue. Anyway, he says, Grossi then mentions the nuclear capabilities of the Islamic Republic, saying that one would have to go half a mile down, up half a mile underground to find them. I've been there many times. To get there, you have to take a spiral tunnel down, 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 he said. Down, 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 3 times. The Times further quoted him saying, today we could have 30 countries which could have nuclear weapons. 30, judging from their technical development. But we have 9, and says if Iran is added to the list, you could have a cascade in the Middle East. He also said that U.S. President Donald Trump's actions of Iran have triggered negotiations where there were none before, and this is objectively commendable. Well, negotiations aren't commendable unless you come to some conclusion. And the conclusion for Iran, of course, is we're not going to stop enriching uranium, of course, to weapons grade so we can build nuclear weapons to destroy the big Satan, the United States, and the little Satan, Israel. How tough is this to consider? Yet this is what's going on right now. And finally, our third headline again says it all. Khamenei disses the U.S. nuke offer. Will Israel or Iran strike first? That's the big question. This is from the Jewish News Syndicate. Tehran's defiance intensifies pressure on Jerusalem and tests the U.S.-Israeli alliance under Trump. Will the Israelis finally be let off the American leash before Iran gets a working nuke? Will the U.S. beef up the strike? To bust the bunkers with their mountain blasting mother of all bombs? Or will the Americans demand indefinite Israeli patience to quote a more appropriate moment? Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's categorical rejection of the revised U.S. nuclear deal, transmitted via Oman, marks more than a diplomatic impasse. It may represent the moment Israel's strategic patience finally reaches its limit. Well, let's hope so. The supreme leader dismissed the American demand to allow but cap uranium enrichment as arrogant and imperialistic, insisting the enemy focuses on enrichment because they know it is the key to our nuclear power, he added defiantly. The Islamic Republic will not give up its rights because of Western threats. So for Israel, the threat is no longer theoretical. Prime Minister Netanyahu has long stated that Israel will not allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons. In private, he has told both the U.S. and Israeli officials that Iran's steady progress towards breakout capacity poses an unacceptable existential threat. Yet, despite Israel's deepening intelligence, cyber, and covert action campaign against Iran's nuclear infrastructure, the key decision, whether to strike overtly, has been deferred repeatedly. And the reason why? Well, Washington. While President Trump has reinstated the maximum pressure campaign against Iran, he has also warned Netanyahu that a direct Israeli strike on Iran would be very inappropriate to do right now, emphasizing that the U.S. is close to achieving a diplomatic solution. What nonsense! And of course, the article says this puts Netanyahu in a bind. On the one hand, time is running out. Israeli officials estimate that Iran could reach full weaponization capacity within months. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Mossad Chief David Barnea have both briefed foreign counterparts that the window to act is closing. Gallant was the former Israeli defense minister, who's not there now, of course. The window to act is closing. Iran's air defenses are improving, and enrichment and entrenchment in Syria and Lebanon has increased Tehran's regional development or regional deterrent. In other words, Tehran is still trying to, insert themselves. And we talked about this yesterday in Lebanon again with the Hezbollah beefing them up again. And so Iran has not given up the idea of destroying Israel. So on the other hand, Israel values the strategic umbrella of U.S. support, especially in scenarios involving Iranian retaliation via Hezbollah or direct missile exchanges. Without a green light or at least a yellow light, Jerusalem risks a rupture with Washington. According to diplomatic sources, Israel has presented the U.S. with updated operational plans for striking Iranian nuclear sites, including Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. But the Trump administration has refused to commit. Trump's circle appears more focused on regime collapse through economic pressure than kinetic escalation. So here's the big question the article asks. What comes next? Israel's military doctrine Ein Berea, meaning no choice, suggests that if diplomacy fails, it must act alone. The president of the Osirak, that was in Iraq in 1981, and the Deir Ezzar in Syria 2007 strikes looms large. But Iran is a far more complex and fortified target. What it's talking about in 1981 in Iraq, there was a nuclear facility being built, and Israel unilaterally took it out. And people were, all the time at that time were, "Well, what are they doing? How's this terrible? How dare they go and do this?" Well, everybody thanks the Lord that they did this, so there wouldn't be a nuclear facility in Iraq. And then one in Syria in 2007, the same thing happened. They struck down these, budding nuclear facilities. But Iran, like it says, is a much bigger problem here. So, what comes next, indeed? This is what we're waiting to find out. And as always, we will keep you posted with the latest developments. So, this is kind of where we're at right now. What's going to take place? We're waiting for Iran's response to Witkoff's proposal. We know it's going to be no. What they're going to propose will probably be something. We know how Iran works, that will seem to be enticing. Well, we'll do this. And, we can still work this out to drag things along as they continue to enrich uranium, continue to wait for this missile fuel to come, while they prepare to attack Israel first and eventually again the United States of America. Like we said, it's getting absurd, but this is where we're at right now. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. In a few hours, we'll have our second edition of Breaking News Today, where we talk about the implications of these findings about the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is a huge, huge story. It's got unbelievable importance. We'll talk about that. And then later today, we'll do a third edition of Breaking News because there's so many more stories we want to get to. In the meantime, I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.